Alright, this is our review for Chapter 2 for our junior high math test. Went over it pretty extensively in class, so it's not going to be too long. We talked about knowing how to order numbers from least to greatest. I think we all have that. We also have to know how to write the opposite of a number and the absolute value of a number. So if I gave you something like negative 21, the opposite is 21 and the absolute value is positive 21. Absolute value is always positive, okay? Complete the statement with less than or greater than. In this statement, negative 14 is greater than negative 18. And the sign is, some people have learned, the alligator eats the larger, or in this situation, it's pointing to the right. So we're just showing that it's greater than. Now, we've got to find the sum or the difference of integers. Now, there are three rules that we need to know to this. The three rules are as follows. If the signs are the same, then we just simply add the two quantities together and keep that sign. If the signs are different, such as a positive and a negative, then we take the difference between the two signs and keep the sign of the quantity of the absolute value that was larger. And then also, if we have minus a negative, what we end up doing is essentially changing to plus or positive, or we change it to add the opposite. Add the opposite. And I'm going to show you an example of that would be, pull out a new sheet of paper. If we were saying same sign sum, then that would be negative 4 minus 11. That would result in a negative 15 because those signs are the same. So 11 and 4 is 15 and we keep it negative. Now if the signs were different and we had, say, 4 minus 11, now I'm going to take the difference between the two, which would be 7, and I will keep it negative because negative had the larger absolute value. And if I had 4 minus negative 7, then I would change that to add the opposite, or plus plus, which would equal 11. Another way to look at it would be to just say 4 plus 7. Same way, it's just changing it. Some mathematicians or some books call it different things. Our book we use says to add the opposite of the integer. These are all the three ways to add or subtract integers. And integers are any numbers, negative or positive, plus including 0, that are whole numbers. Alright. To find the product or the quotient, now we're talking about multiplying or dividing. The way I look at it, these two rules, I just count up the number of negatives I have, which is the most important to me. And if I have an odd number of negatives, then my answer is going to be negative. If I have an even number of negatives, then my answer is going to be positive. So an example of that would be, for instance, right here we have negative 8 times 2 times negative 4. So I have 1 negative, 2 negative, and so that makes an even number of negatives. So I know my answer is positive. Then I'm going to use the commutative property of multiplication. Say 2 times 4 is 8, and 8 times 8 is 64 is my answer. The three properties that we need to know are the commutative property, the associative property, and the distributive properties. Commutative and associative can be both addition or multiplication. Important properties to know. This will be matching basically on your test. Alright. Now some examples of using the distributive property. That's where we just have a, for instance, this is a constant, a number on the outside of binomial x plus 2. I'm just simply going to say 4 times x, and then I'm going to say 4 times positive 2 is how I come up with 4x plus 8. I'm just saying 4 times x, 4 times 2, and there's an understood 1 in front of the x. And I can't add 4x and 8 because they're not like terms. Also over here, x plus 2x, we could distribute it and say 4 times x and 4 times 2x, and I'd get 4x plus 8x, which those are like terms, and I can add to be 12x, using the distributive property in order to do that. And then this last one, when I distribute 2 times x and I get 2x, 2 times negative y and I get negative 2y, this is my answer. I can't carry this any further for the simple fact of x and y are not like terms. So I can't do anything on that. Lastly, on our test is to simplify the expression. To simplify the expression, we must go in and add like terms. Now on this is simplify. This means you're not going to come up with x equals 4 or something. You're going to just do the best you can at combining like terms to kind of make it seem easier to understand. So I'll just look at 15a plus 6b minus 8a minus 9b. Now I know some students have trouble with which is positive, is a negative, knowing with sign. My suggestion would be to go through and divide, go through and mark them up. So you have 15a and negative 8a results in 7a. 15 minus 8, 7, and it's a. 6b and negative 9b, 6 minus 9 is negative 3, so my answer is 7a minus 3b. And I can't combine those. I have no idea what a represents or b represents in this. I'm just combining like terms. For instance, here 3 is a constant. I have no other constants. I'm going to divide these up so that you can see this as well. 3, I'll just bring that over. 9x and 5x, those two have the same sign. I'll add them together and get 14x. And then I'll bring my negative 2y over. And my answer would be 3 plus 14x minus 2y, in that order. Now, lastly, just to give you one that could be seen, I guess, as difficult, would be something like if we said 3x plus 2 minus 2y plus 4x minus 6, or something along that line. What we want to do first, and I'm going to try to do a couple of different colors here to help you out. First, I would use my, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, my PEMDAS, or my order of operations, and I would say right here I would come up with 3x plus 6. After I distribute 3 times x and get 3x and 3 times 2 and get 6, bring down my minus 2y plus 4x minus 6. Now I'm going to go through and combine like terms. 3x obviously goes with 4x. Add those together results in a 7x. Positive 6 and negative 6, those two zero out. 6 minus 6 is 0, and leaves me with 7x minus 2y for my answer. And that's as far as I can take it. So in order for terms to be like, they either have to have the same variable, if they have a variable, with the same exponent, or we just add our constants, or just our numbers without variables. If I were thinking of a bonus for this test that I would really think would be a good one, would be, I guess we could say, if I gave you, for instance, just threw an absolute value problem in there, and I said, what is the absolute value of negative 8, or the absolute value of something? And we know our absolute value is always the positive of that. So absolute value of negative 8 would be 8. Absolute value of positive 8 would also be 8. So absolute value, what you need to know about that is the absolute value is always positive, and it's the number of places away from 0. And that's what we're looking for absolute value. It's positive number of places away from 0. That pretty much wraps up Chapter 2. We didn't cover coordinate plane. We will add that onto our next test. Alrighty, that's it. Good luck.